Well, hello. Long time no see. I apologize. It's been a minute or 5. Hey, it's an IP gentleman. Yeah, I meant to stream on Wednesday. And then I woke up Thursday morning, I was like, oh, I was supposed to stream yesterday. You miss a week and this is what happens. I apologize. Give it a couple of minutes here. Let me let people filter in just for a second and let me figure out my stream deck again, because I screwed it up. I try sometimes. Do you know these stream decks actually have different profiles that you can go through? I didn't. I mean, here using folders for like things, and I'm just like, oh, you know, maybe I should, you know, switch profiles instead. Bastard living your own life, how could you? I know, right? It's almost like I actually have things to do outside of streaming. I do intend to stream Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. I missed a week because I was doing the CyberPatriots stuff. And then I just genuinely forgot, so I'm so sorry. That was on me. Like, you miss a week doing something and just suddenly you wake up one morning and you're like, oh, I was supposed to do that thing yesterday. Here, let me go ahead and... Oh god, I actually have to press buttons in order to swap my things now. Oh god, it's so terrible. Oh, that was last week, wasn't it? How was CyberPatriots going? It went well, I think. All things considered. I mean, you know, it's... God, give me a second. Oh god, why? It's, yeah, I mean, you were teaching a bunch of, like, 12 to 14-year-olds, so it goes about as well as you'd expect. Actually, it went better than I expected, so that's good. Where is my thing? Oh god. Swap scenes to oh god, webcam and swap scenes. Yeah, hey look, I can press a button now. Hey, okay, that works. Jesus, I'm so sorry. Something I should have done earlier. The best time to do things is always live. And then we'll just do the ending there, and I'm sure I will definitely remember which one is which. Here. End. Webcam. Screen. Or just webcam. That works. Okay. I know what I'm doing. I'm a professional. Yeah. How's everyone been? Sorry about that. I'm here. You're actually a little bit further back now, so my face isn't taking up nearly as much of the screen real estate as it probably should. In fact, I should probably zoom that in. Again, the best time to do things is always live. I'm alive, so there's that. Alright, well, it's good to hear. I'm glad that you're alive. And so far it still sucks, the whole coronavirus thing. Demonetized! Whew! Yeah, here we go. Hey, look, you can actually see me. And let's now move me over. Yeah, best time to do things is always live. There we go. That's good enough, probably. A little bit out of focus, I think. There we go. Perfect. Hi. How are you? I'm glad that IP Gentleman is alive. I think Dan should be joining shortly, assuming that he's still watching the streams and haven't pissed him off by missing like 5 streams in a row. Thanks. Sorry. But I think for me, let me think. Yeah, CyberPatriots was fun. I did mention it a couple of times last stream, or the stream before, when we were tearing down and rebuilding my PC. It's very empty in here, yes. For now, people tend to join in like a half hour, hour in. So, the first hour is always kind of empty. Because you see the same effect with Discord, yeah. So yeah, I think I mentioned it last stream and the stream before as well, but CyberPatriots went well enough. Basically, if you're not aware, and it's a bit weird, so you start off, the first day basically starts off with, you know, kind of assuming you don't have much knowledge about computers or anything. So, you know, it starts off by teaching you, like, here's the basics of hardware, here's how a computer works, you know, things like that. And then at the end of the 5th day, you go into hardening Ubuntu and Windows 10 boxes. So there's a lot of material to cover in 5 days. And it touches on some subjects, and it teaches concepts of basic cybersecurity, like, you know, here's what a virus is, and here's what the definition of malware is, and things like that. Some stuff, like, it's good to know, like, here's the definition of a virus, I guess, but at the same time, it feels like maybe slightly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. You know what a virus does, so you're good. I don't think... I can't think of any cybersecurity person, someone who works actively in the field, I can't think of anyone that would be able to, off the top of their head, give me an exact definition of a virus versus, like, malware versus a worm. Whatever. Maybe somebody who's actually working in, like, who's creating virus definitions for, you know, anti-malware company or something, but that's about it. So, yeah, it's handy to know what a virus does, but I don't think it's as important to know what the exact definition is versus, like, a worm or malware or whatever. They're all bad. Don't have them on your computer. There you go. That's all you need to know. So there were a few times like that. You would have, like, these definitions that would show up, and you're like, we could probably skip this. It's fine. Just all you need to know is it's bad. But otherwise, I think most of the material that was covered was fine. Honestly, it served its purpose. It worked. What can I say? So I don't know, that week was fun. I gotta do some interesting fun stream stuff. I mean, I gotta use my setup. So I gotta use the nice microphone and my stream deck and the Go XLR and everything. Good, because the material hasn't changed in 3 years. I saw that. There were some references to older, like, there was like, hey, discuss, or yeah, there were references to older things that happened. Like, they were saying, like, hey, the Equifax breach. I'm like, that's a few years old. Fuck. Like, yeah, it's important, but, I mean, you couldn't have thought of anything that was a little bit more recent? Anything? So I kind of brought in my own material. I went a little bit off script on occasion, and brought in my own material and references that were, you know, within the last decade. Half decade. So I was kind of lucky because I got to go off script a bit. I did ask, and they were like, yeah, you know, if you have your own material to bring in, or if you have your own references to bring in, then great. In fact, that was one of the reasons they asked me to participate, is because they knew I'm more hands-on and that I would have more recent material than the CyberPatriot stuff. So, specifically, they wanted me to go a little off script on occasion and, you know, mention things that have happened recently rather than things that have happened 5 years ago, which, you know, as a high schooler, 5 years is a fucking lifetime, right? I remember being a high schooler. I remember in high school thinking, man, that happened a year ago? That's so old. So I was trying really hard not to reference things that were 5 years old plus. God, I feel old. Like, yeah, the Equifax breach, that happened fairly recently, didn't it? I actually gotta look it up. Oh, never mind. Nope, I'm just old. Fuck. I'm still salty about the Equifax breach, too. The way they handled it was fucking abysmal. But what can you do? You salty old fogey? What's a fogey? I don't know what a fogey is. Actually, still have my shoes on. I was just earlier going out to help my girlfriend bring out some boxes from the garage. Since we're not planning on staying in the place that we're currently staying in for very long, we have a storage unit rented out. The landlords that we're renting under right now are actually planning on selling the house, actually selling it to somebody else at some point in the near future. So we're preparing for that inevitability and packing stuff away from the garage where everything's kind of stored at the moment to an actual storage unit, so that way we can move it a little easier. So I was just outside helping with that, and so I have my shoes on, and that's not good. I don't want my shoes on at my desk. It's my desk. Why do I want that? There we go. I have both your cups on. I can hear in both ears. Sorry, it's been a while. Actually, there have been some developments since I last streamed. Since I last properly streamed. Again, there's been a couple of weird streams since my last, like, real here's my light, here's my microphone kind of stream, right? My last professional stream with all the fancy stuff on the side and the below and all the lighting and everything. Those are streams I consider real streams, and you know, with that standard icon and everything, or video thumbnail, whatever. So there's been a couple of streams since then that have had there's a new thumbnail on them, and they're shot literally from my phone, just from my phone. There's even a watermark on it and everything. Production quality is not fantastic, but that was all I could come up with, because during those two streams, I was tearing down and rebuilding my PC. I had to, again, move my computer from my desk to another desk in the bedroom, so my current setup where it is, to another desk in my bedroom. And I figured, while I'm moving it, I might as well tear it apart and redo the cable management, because the cable management previously was atrocious. In fact, I can actually show you before and after. It's really good. There's some improvement, very slight improvement. Yeah. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, let me open it up for you. It's beautiful. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go. And I can actually go over. One of these days I'll figure this out. Oh, hey! That would help. There you go. So here's what the back looked like before I tore it all down. And again, I actually did this live on stream, like from beginning to end. If you actually want to check that out, that's like the 2 streams ago. And then the last stream was me putting the PC back on this desk and kind of redoing some of the cable management of the desk, and also repositioning my monitors and everything, so that way I had a better, more clear access to everything. So here's what the back of the case looked like before, and here's what the front of the case looked like before. It is not fantastic. Or it wasn't fantastic. Cable management has never been my strong. Look at this. Hang on a minute. Look at, what is this? This is madness. This is not good. This is not like, look at my RAM. Look at the bouginess of this RAM. As Chelsea would put it, the bougie RAM, right? Like, this is the G-Skill Trident Royales. Right, this is the fancy RAM. This is RGB crystals, everything, right? And then look at all of the terrible cable management around. What is there's like a drive that's just sitting here, right? And so about halfway through the stream, I realized, I was like, wait a minute, I actually have these slots back here, which are supposed to be for SSDs. And I was like, oh, that makes more sense. Because I was watching a Linus Tech Tip video on it. So here's the before, and here's after. So after, I'm like, hey, we should actually use these. And since these cables are pretty short, I had to flop one versus the other because these are twisted around. Otherwise, it would put too much strain on the cable. So it's still a little bit dusty. You can see some dust spots around, but it's fine mostly. Yeah, so the back of the case still isn't fantastic, but it is a lot better than it was. The front of the case is what matters, right? This is where your airflow is. And look at this. This is so much better. I mean, obviously, again, it's not absolutely perfect, but there's no way to get it perfect. You have to have cables coming up to the front somehow. But look at this. You can actually see, like, aside from the pump here, which, you know, obviously has to be there. Aside from the pump, you can actually, there's cable routing going back through there. Like, you can actually see everything up here. It's beautiful. And that airflow is fantastic. Like, now I actually have air coming in and going out, and it isn't being obstructed by whatever the fuck this is. So, before and after. And before and after. Yeah, it looks so much better. I'll put my webcam back on. Yeah. So that was the last two streams. Like I said, the first stream with the new icon has me, like I said, it's from my phone. It's like 30 FPS, not fantastic. The sound quality is kind of atrocious. My girlfriend's like literally carrying my phone across like the setup and everything. It's not great. And then the second one is slightly better production quality. I actually upped it to 60 FPS and 1080p, and still moving around a lot, but hey. Hey, speaking of the girlfriend, hello.
Same. Should I be scared?
Just telling them about how you were moving, like the last two streams, you were moving the camera around and everything. The production quality wasn't fantastic.
It wasn't my fault. You're the one that wanted to stream taking apart your
Yeah.
tower and then stream.
It was rushed, like every stream that I do, pretty much. But this time I didn't have my setup, so it was very rushed.
Talking to IP Gentleman again.
Yes. So, yeah, it's hey, whatever. At least it was a stream. It worked. But yeah, if you want to watch the tearing down and setting back up of my PC, go watch those. Those are awesome. After this, of course. But now everything's set up and mostly ready to go. I had to change my Stream Deck again, and all the icons look terrible, and I'll have to redo those, and I have to figure out what yeah, I know that they look atrocious. And now I have to, you know, reset that up, and I've been meaning to do forever. Now I'm actually getting around to doing. Of course live, because, you know, that's the best time to do things.
Your picture looks really good though.
It does. I actually shaved.
I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about the quality of the picture. It looks good.
Yes, and that's because I had to zoom in. Yeah, the camera is now a lot farther back than it was before. So now I have to actually like zoom it in and move it around a little bit. I actually have a little bit of leeway in actually moving around. I can, since I'm, yeah, I don't know. What do you think? Is that okay?
I like the zoom.
Zoomed in's better? Yeah. Oops. Why does it reset? Why? Why would it reset? That's no. Go away. Okay. I guess that works. Alright. Yeah, I don't know. I now have a new setup on the new desk. I'm actually going to be streaming soon. When I get a chance. I will actually be streaming some soldering work and some oh, you guys can't see this. I have a new setup over to my side. Well, if I zoomed out. I have a new setup over to my side. Actually, you still wouldn't be able to see it. I have a new setup over to my side where it's much easier for me to access everything that I need to create just whatever Arduino or Raspberry Pi project that I want. And so now it'll be much easier for me to stream it because not only do I have a much larger desk space to put my soldering mat down, and I have much easier access to everything that I need to do soldering projects, but now it's actually set up to be streamable. So it's a little bit, just a hair more uncomfortable for me than it was before. In some ways, in other ways it's actually more comfortable. But now it's much easier for me to actually stream soldering, to stream Arduino, to stream, you know, Raspberry Pi, whatever I want to do with those kinds of projects. So it'll be awesome. Hi. What are you doing? Nope.
Sorry.
Ah.
We're supposed to knock on everything.
I know. There we go. Step. Hi. I can't.
Alright, love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Where are you going?
Well, I really don't feel like sitting with a microphone covering my head.
That's entirely fair. I still did not really set this up. One of the things I wanted to do was set this up back up for 2 people instead of 1. But the position of the desk, it just doesn't work. So I did try, and then I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna make it comfortable for me. Sorry. I did try though, I really did.
I'm pretty sure if we put the Alex George on A, it would be better. But B, it would make it a little easier.
Nah. It still wouldn't work because I'm still tucked into a corner here. The desk would have to be bigger, basically.
Move out.
Yep.
Plus I got some clothes that I gotta fold, so try not to stream for like 3 hours.
I'll try. Yeah, I'll figure something out. One of these days I'll actually have like a nice way to stream 2 people. What I'm thinking is multiple camera setup. Yeah. It'll be awesome. I think. I actually, I think about it. I sort of had a plan for what I wanted to stream today, but it didn't quite work out the way I wanted to. I really wanted to stream like I really wanted to try out the soldering mat and actually do some soldering today. But it didn't quite work out because I don't really have anything to solder. I've done everything that I really wanted to. I guess I did recently get, hang on, let me see if I can show you. I did recently get a couple of, where's my battery door? Ah, actually have a battery door and everything. I did recently get these guys, yeah. They're adorable. Come on. Come on, let go. Let go. I got these. They're tiny and adorable, and they're batteries. They work. So one of my projects that I've been thinking about has been taking one of these Teensies or AT-Tiny 85s. They actually talk directly in the microphone. That makes more sense. It's taking So one of these AT-Tiny 85s, programming it to do, I don't know, something, I'll figure it out. Or even better, taking one of these Arduino, it's basically a standard Arduino, but it has a Wi-Fi module attached to it. So it uses the AT framework, an Arduino framework, but it has a Wi-Fi module attached. And plugging one of these into it and just having like a portable Wi-Fi thing, maybe like maybe I can set this thing into like monitor mode or something and have like a portable hacking unit. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I think it's fun. It's back in my battery door where it goes. There we go. Oh, Michael says, love your vids, keep it that way and stay healthy. I can't watch full live. Ah, that's okay. You can do VODs, and if you don't want to do live streams, I totally understand. Surprisingly enough, I don't tend to watch live streams. I prefer kind of heavily edited videos because time is a thing. Like, I don't mind watching an hour-long video, but I don't want to waste my time watching it. Same thing with streams. A lot of the time, the beauty and the detriment of live streams simultaneously is that you can't really edit, and mistakes happen, and boring parts happen, and it's kind of a benefit and a detriment at the same time. You know, it's on the one hand, you end up with genuine, funny, interesting moments that aren't forced or edited in, and on the other, you know, sometimes it gets boring. Then sometimes, you know, you just go, I'm done, I'm out. So I don't know. This is probably one of those cases where it's going to be more of me kind of just saying what's on my mind at the moment kind of streams, simply because, again, it was kind of supposed to be another type of stream this time, and there's a few different reasons it just didn't work out that way, and so now I'm just kind of doing things off the top of my head. It's kind of turned into a chill and chat stream instead of a Arduino soldering stream. Oh well, what can you do? Not the end of the world, but it does suck a little bit, because now I have to kind of sit here and figure out, like, you know, what do I want to talk about, or, you know, what do people actually want to see? Because I've been a little out of the loop in terms of security, cybersecurity, and anything going on in Minecraft or anything like that. I've not intentionally, but unintentionally taken myself out of those loops. So it's difficult for me to say, you know, what's happened recently, because I don't really know. We can check though. I'm sure Reddit has something. I'm sure something's happened, right? Something always happens. It's like every week something new comes up, like, oh, this thing got hacked, or these people got hacked, or, you know, this thing got broken, or there's a new technique for this. It's always interesting, but I don't say I never catch up on it. Most of the time I do, but this week, for whatever reason, I just haven't. So, hi.
Hey.
You're back.
Yeah.
Oh, that's class cleaner. Okay. Hi. Okay. You can stay if you want. Just hi.
Hi.
I don't mind.
No, you don't.
Okay. Oh yes, we are taking off later today to pick up a new server.
Well, you're doing.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go later today to pick up a new server. That'll be awesome, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then 2, we are heading off tonight to basically just stay with my mom for the night, because I haven't seen her in months.
You saw her last month.
Oh, well, before then we haven't seen her since like December. Yeah. So it's been a while since I saw her last. You know, it's been about a month since we actually went up and actually talked to her, and then before then it's been several months. So we decided to, you know, just stay the night.
Well, what made me decide was the fact that she was all alone, and certain people weren't there.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I can't find the blow-up mattress.
Oh.
I might need your help.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, I decided, you know, she was like, hey, I'm here, and I'm bored, and I'm lonely. And we were like, hey, you know, that sounds like a great opportunity to come up and say hello, spend the night, and, you know, make some interesting, fun stuff. She has a really nice kitchen, so it's really easy to, and she has a dishwasher. So it's really easy to come up and, like, you know, make something fun, bake something, because she has a working oven, 2, she has a nice kitchen with actual nice utensils, and 3, she has a dishwasher that works. All of which we don't really have. We've actually gotten to the nice utensils part, so, but we're actually able to make things like, I don't know, pies and muffins and cakes and desserts. Just I think our plan today is to go up and make a chocolate mousse is what we're gonna do today. And, you know, it'll be awesome because we'll actually be able to, you know, use the oven and things, and also fish of some description. So she has a nice kitchen and we want to make use of it. And it's always nice being able to make cool desserts. Figure why not, right? How sweet. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. We haven't been up there in a while. And I'd like to stay the night, say hello, fix her internet if I can. I think actually the last time I went up, I made it a point to try and make her internet feel a little faster. And the way I did that was by quite simply installing core DNS and unbound DNS and making it and testing out her closest DNS servers and making it so that way she has like the ultimate fastest DNS that she possibly can, with multiple layers of caching and everything. So it makes it feel faster. It doesn't make her internet any faster, but it makes pages load faster and it makes it feel faster. So hey, if I can make any kind of quality of life improvements, I figured I'd do it. And so I did that last month. And so I guess, yeah, this month we'll just go up and hang out and say hello and make foods. Make some dinner. And because she wasn't, we asked her like, hey, what are you planning for dinner tonight? She's like, well, I'm alone, so nothing. She was like, I was planning on just eating leftovers or, you know, making myself a sandwich or something. We're like, oh, no. We're gonna make actual dinner. It's fine. It'll be awesome. But yeah, I think right after today's stream ends, what I'm going to do is a friend of mine is giving away a very, very old, judging by the specs, very old tower, a PC. And I have been wanting a server for years. I have an Intel, like a Nook alike. It's like a it's an AOC, I think is what it, no, it's not AOC, it's AC something, I forget what the brand name is, but it's a K1, is what it's called. It's basically a knockoff Intel Nook, right? Has a Core i3 in it, and that's pretty much it. And like 4 gigs of RAM. No, I think it's 3 gigs of RAM, which is really strange. And so it's not fantastic, but it does work. It's kind of our Plex server at the moment, but I think, judging by the specs of that old PC, even though it's like a really old Athlon CPU, it does have a Radeon graphics card in it. And I think, in terms of Plex, I'm thinking Plex specifically here, in terms of Plex transcoding, I think the Radeon beats out the i3. I think. I'll have to double check that, but I believe that is the case. So at the very least, I can turn it into a Plex server. However, my plan is to be able to upgrade it later. Upgrade the motherboard, upgrade the CPU, upgrade the graphics card to upgrade it later, and have it be an actual server, upgrade the storage and everything, have it be an actual server, like an actual home lab server for a bunch of things. So it'll host a lot of different things on it, and I can relegate the Nook to a secondary DNS server. So in case I shut down the main server or something, I can have a backup. That's the plan. And I've been wanting something like that for years, but the problem is I've been pricing out even used parts, and it's a little expensive. Jimboy says, upgrade the motherboard, CPU and GPU is basically a new computer. Yeah, the problem is the CPU is an Athlon, an Athlon 2, I think. That's not gonna last very long. I definitely have to upgrade the CPU. Like even saving money on a case is huge, because cases are like 40-50 bucks, even used. I mean, a cheap case is like 20 bucks, and that's money I can save. So it's free parts. I've been offered free parts, right? So hey, I'll take it. But I agree, getting a new CPU and GPU is kind of just getting a new computer. But I think the point is that I'm gonna spend money on a GPU that isn't modern, so it wouldn't have, yeah, free parts, yeah. So it wouldn't be like an RTX 2080 Ti. Like the thing I have in this computer wouldn't be that. It would be like a GTX 1060, and that would be way more than enough horsepower to do Plex transcoding. And I might even do like a dual 1060 or setup, right? Because then I could save one for the Plex, and then the other I could use for, I don't know, machine learning or something, right? Yeah, 1060 for Plex. I took a look at various, I think the 1060 does H265, I think. I'll have to double check that. It does draw a bit of power. The 1060 is fairly power efficient. So I was looking at like price versus power versus like whether or not it does specific Plex things. One of the things I wanted to do was H265 encoding for more modern streaming, transcoding on the fly. So I think 1060 was one of the ones that I looked at. Yeah, 1060 was one of the ones I looked at for just price versus power versus like features, but well, this is with the upgrade. The one that it comes with is like a Radeon something. It's an older Radeon, so it'll work for now. But I was thinking of buying, like upgrading the GPU at some point to like a 1060 or something. I think there might be a better alternative, but 1060 was like a decent price to performance ratio, and then also had the features that I wanted. And a Radeon should be okay for a Plex, I think, yeah. And that's what I'm hoping, is that, so right now I'm using the i3, and the i3 has embedded transcoding, or an embedded transcoder. It's called Intel QuickSync. The problem is it's not great, especially on an i3. So I'm hoping the Radeon beats out the i3 is the idea. And so I can move Plex from my current basically Intel NUC to the Radeon. Your bottleneck will be your network. One of the other things I've been looking at with the upgrade now, so instead of using a NUC, I'm now going to be using, hopefully, the new computer, the tower for the Plex. One of the things I've been looking at is that the NUC only has 1 gigabit output, but with the tower, I can insert a card, and a network card into it that has 2 ports, and so I can do dual gigabit through it. That's the idea. So I mean, my entire network is gigabit at the moment, but I can do dual gig, and I have the extra port for it, so why not, right? Yeah, I'm sure 1 gig is totally fine. I don't see a reason. I don't see a reason that I'd need to upgrade to 2 gigs. But the thing is the movies that I have on my NAS right now are like 30 gigs in volume. So I figure basically 1 gig ingest, 1 gig for output egress. That's the idea. I mean, I assume it'll kind of balance its own stuff out, but since the movies are stored on the NAS and the Plex is on the network and not on the NAS, then it has to use that 1 gig pipe to ingest a 30 gig movie, and then that same 1 gig pipe to output a transcoded movie. Or the raw movie, depending on, you know, what settings I have set on my phone or whatever else I'm watching on. I think most of the time I use original, I don't transcode at all. Most of the time. But yeah, honestly, I figure, you know, why not dual gig, and then I can link aggregate them together, right? And then what ends up happening is I just end up with a nice Plex server that has a gig in for the movie coming in and then a gig out for the movie going out, transcoded or not. So I'm sure to be able to have like my full gigabit no matter what I'm doing. Again, that's the idea. Link aggregation is weird. It kind of just does its own thing, but that's the plan. That's kind of what I have on my PC as well, actually. On Windows, it's called teaming, and it was a giant pain in the ass getting it set up, but I do have link aggregation on my Windows machine. It's about 6.6 gigs at a worst case scenario. So you're thinking like multiple streams kind of thing. So let's say, I think the max amount of people I'm gonna have watching movies on this thing is 3 at the same time, and that's pretty rare. I think average is gonna be 1 to 2 people. 2 people being not common, but not uncommon, and then 3 at the same time being extremely rare. It's probably just gonna be 1 person at a time, like 99% of the time. Yeah, so it would probably be the network at that point. But with dual gig, it would definitely help. Like dual gig for sure. Like when I get link aggregation working on that thing, dual gig for sure will be fine. The thing I'm worried about with the Radeon is I'm not sure it supports a lot of the things that I want. That's just failover though. It is 802.11ag is failover and also actual dual gig. So for example, when my own PC, for example, because I use teaming, has the same technology, 802.11ag. AG? It's not AG, Jesus. I'm thinking wireless, not wired. 802.11 something. Let me see here. What am I actually using? So I did look at like what the difference is between just failover versus a bunch of other various things, and one of the things I came up with was this standard. Now where is it? Devices. Here's my Office. So, yes. So here's where my actual computer is plugged into. And so this is, yeah, link aggregate. And what is it? Oh, is it AG? It's not AG, is it? That's wireless. God, what the hell am I thinking of? Can we see the console? Yeah. Let me put this up for you real fast. Let me move this out of the way so that way I can actually read the chat. Let's see here. Boop, boop. Or even better, actually. I have this for a reason. Aha! You can see both screens. Both me and the screen. Both screens? Yes, that's a thing. So It's not the console. It's console enough. Depends on what you mean by console. This is the way I configure my Unify network. Which console are you thinking? Are you talking the Plex console? Are you talking the Unify console? Or are you talking like my Windows terminal? I thought you were deep into it. No. Talking command line. So my command prompt? I can open up the terminal. This is my PowerShell. But, you know, what do you want to see? Let's see. I configure my Unify network through the Unify, what is it? The cloud key, security key, the something key. No, I'm not using the console for it. No, you're good. Nope, I'm not using the console to configure anything. I'm using the actual interface because there's no features that you can do on the console that you can't do through the interface. And the interface is nicer. So yeah, the thing that I have here is I have port 3 and 4 as my aggregate. I actually have a diagram as well. But ports 3 and 4 is my aggregate, and I think it's... yeah, it's a preference. It's just prettier and it's nicer to configure. Yeah. No, it's preference. Is it? AD, not AG. AD, that's what it is. God, 802.11 AD. BGN is your previous wireless. No, 802.11 AD. So everything on Unify is configured to be able to use 802.11 AD, and Windows Teaming also uses AD. And so with AD, you have the benefit of one, failover. So if one link goes down, then the other is fine. However, two, you actually get another benefit with AD, and the second one is that it actually can use the dual gigabit. So you would actually have dual gigabit. You wouldn't get a job at my place if you didn't know how to use the command line. I know how to use the command line. You're talking like SSHing into the Unify security gateway and actually using their command line to configure things. I can, I just don't want to. Which command line are you thinking? There's several. I'm confused. I'm talking about normal use. I use the command line and PowerShell on my Windows PC on a fairly daily basis. Even more frequently, I will SSH into my own servers, such as, let's see, I have my home lab here. Go ahead and show you what that looks like. Oop. Bash on Linux, PowerShell on Windows. Actually, I use ZSH, not Bash. There you go. So this is my actual, here's my Plex along with my DNS as well. And along with my Grafana and Elasticsearch. I make this poor little thing do a lot. They operate from the command line in my place of work. Yeah, obviously if I'm SSHing into a server, then yeah, I will have to use the shell because there's no other way to really interface with it. For the unified network, I find it easier to use the interface because, it's just easier, really. There's no features that aren't on the web interface that are available through the command line. None. So screw it. Might as well use this. As far as Windows goes, yeah, I use command. Yeah, I use PowerShell mostly. I've gotten more into it since IP Gentleman has been teaching everyone how to use it, but I'm more familiar with Bash and ZSH. At that point, I think you're just restarting services when you SSH into something. A shell of power, exactly, yes. Actually, I've customized, I don't know if you've seen this, but I've customized my PowerShell to be ZSH-like because I like my I like my little, I have a problem. What text editor do you use? I use for Windows, I use Notepad++. For anything Linux, I'll just use Nano. Again, I can use Vim, but I don't like to. Some people swear by Emacs, some people swear by Vim. Nano works fine for me. And also I have, actually, this is a beautiful, let's see if I can find it here. My beautiful DNS graphs. Yeah. I set this up at the lab as well yesterday, but this is beautiful. I'm missing some data here because I was an idiot and swapped, well, I wasn't being an idiot. I temporarily swapped time zones on my home lab from UTC to my time zone, MST, and I forgot to change it back, and I restarted the box, and suddenly all of my data is over here and not over here. So it's like a couple hours behind, and it was logging a few hours behind, so now I have this giant gap here, which doesn't look fantastic, and I might go back and like go through the logs and erase it. It actually is behind. So if you take a look down here, you'll see that usage spikes around this area. So what happened is because it's behind, or because I swapped time zones when I restarted, these logs are now a couple hours behind. So it thought that, you know, at X time, it's supposed to put, or it parses the time and it says, okay, I'm supposed to put, you know, this information at this time. And since I reversed the time zones, or since I swapped the time zones, it reversed the time. So as it kept going, it said, okay, no, I'm actually like 6 hours behind. And now all of my usage is piled up into this small area down here, and none of it's over here. So it's like twice the amount that's supposed to be here, and none of it over here. So if I go back and I stick with the same time zone throughout everything, I can actually go back through the logs and then recreate all of this data again. If I really wanted to, it would take a couple hours, but I could do it. Yeah, if I went back and did it, this data wouldn't be missing anymore. So it looks ugly, and I can fix it, but it would take several hours, and I don't know why I want to do that right now. But that said, yeah, my little Nook, my little home lab, is now not only a DNS server, but it's also a Grafana dashboard, and also an Elasticsearch server, and also it's a Plex. So I think I'm pushing this little i3 to its limits, and I really need to get another server for Plex transcoding. And so that's what the new box is for. Jim says, love Nano, hate Vim, especially when the sysadmin has set Vim as the default. Yeah. Elasticsearch is well, it's the way that I have all this data inserted, essentially. So I have logs, and so core DNS and Unbound basically log things to a file. I've written a Python script to parse that file, that log file, and then spit data out into Elasticsearch. And Elasticsearch is basically my way to stash these logs, right? And so I use this Grafana panel, and then I just get the data from Elasticsearch and put it into pretty graphs on the panel. Are you using the whole Elastic Stack or just search? Just search. I literally only installed Elasticsearch, and I interface with it directly through Python, which was super easy to do. It really wasn't hard at all. In fact, I can actually show you how this works. I have a guide for it, installing it and everything. But if you check the coredns.py, for example, so this, I mean, it basically just posts this data to a URL. Let's see if I can, yeah, so it posts JSON data to the Elasticsearch URL, and boom, it's done. That's it. That's it. And then suddenly the data exists there. All I have to do is just make sure to include a date, because otherwise it doesn't have a references to time. And I use that date here, and that's it. So yeah, it kind of streams the data. Basically, it uses a Python library called tailor to tail the log file, so it'll keep up with the log file as it's being updated, and it'll just parse out those lines and then submit the data right over to Elasticsearch. It is very beautiful. And I did the same thing for the lab. It's the exact same setup that I'm using here, actually. DNS over TLS and all, which I still haven't fixed, and I really need to. I am so sorry, Abby gentlemen. We'll fix it, I promise. I just haven't gotten to it yet. I mean, the good news is now we're logging it, so, you know, we could just use this Elasticsearch data, because it logs what you're visiting too, and what IP address visited it. So we could grab a list of websites and then use a Python script to just check for those websites in Elasticsearch. It's totally doable. Sorry. Nah. Okay. Fair enough. You know. DNS over TLS. Yay. So, what's interesting about Unbound is, in theory, Unbound's supposed to be round-robining your DNS servers, and you can see here that I have 5 DNS servers set up. And it looks like it's not round-robining all these DNS servers, because if it was truly random, or not random, if it was actually round-robining, then all of these would be equal, and they are not. So I have to wonder what's going on. But yeah, I have 5 DNS servers, because failover is a thing. Did you know, last week, 2 weeks ago, Google DNS, a lot of Google services, including Google DNS, went down? You think Google's too big to fail, but no, they are not. Like, YouTube went down. It was like for a day or two as well. DNS went down. YouTube went down. Search didn't go down. Like, that, I don't think has ever been down, ever. But yeah, a lot of things went down. Waits on load, then defers, yeah. So I figure what's happening here is it's using kind of a priority system. Maybe? I don't know. If it's using a priority system, I don't know why all of these... I don't know what it does. I have no idea what it does. Because Unbound says in its config file, by default, it round robins everything. So, in theory, all of these should be equal. But if it's a timed fail response, why are these two, why are they both even, and then why are these two like half the amount of time? I don't understand. I have no idea what it's doing or why. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, because I had them set up separately. Well, let's check this. I'm curious now. Let's check this. If it's set up right, the top 50% of your servers will work. Okay. Well, let's see. Without many failovers. Well, that's the hope, right? I mean, here's my average response times. It's around the 100 to 150 millisecond range for external, and then obviously internal is 0 to what is this? 40 milliseconds max? Internal meaning internal DNS. So I have set up my internal DNS is uss.enterprise. So obviously those response times are going to be super low because it doesn't have to go out and actually check. Yeah, 100 and 150 milliseconds isn't fantastic, but it's not bad. If I wasn't using DNS over TLS, it would be a lot lower, but I am, so it's higher. My closest DNS servers are here. These are my closest in order. And if I wasn't using DNS over TLS, that ends up about 50 to 60 milliseconds. The extra basically 60 milliseconds is TLS overhead, which sucks, but you know, you make sacrifices, and 150 milliseconds is not bad. For DNS, it's really good. So if I can actually see Nano Unbound, and there we go. So we can actually see my forwarders are set up for 8888, 8844, and then this one, this Hurricane Electric, and then Cloudflare for the final two. So I have no idea why this is in the order and amount that it is. It's so strange. Have you ever worked with enterprise level networks? Sort of? I know, IP gentleman, does the labs network count as enterprise level? Like, define enterprise level network. What is your definition of enterprise level? Like, how many users are you looking at for enterprise? A small one, maybe, yeah. I don't know. I mean, we got a fair amount of traffic through that network. 20K plus. No, I have not. CCDC would lean more towards enterprise. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the lab is enterprise in that it's more modern, I think. Enterprise networks tend to have a lot of legacy items, code, things like that. The lab network is more kept up to date in terms of, you know, what's modern, what's hip, what's new. So I don't know. It feels, the lab feels more. I don't know. It is more modern because it is more modern. It feels more modern because it is more modern, if that makes sense. Yeah, a lot of fighting with legacy stuff. I get that, trust me. I understand. We were on a constant upgrade path, yeah. And that's, it feels like it's the same with the lab. There's actually a fair amount in the lab that is Ubuntu 18, and I've been updating it slowly to Ubuntu 20. So that's a thing. Do you know that Linux is 20% faster than Windows in what? In some things it's actually slower, actually, but it depends on the protocol that you're using and, you know, the other various things. General usage. Yeah, I mean, generally Linux is faster than Windows, sure. Like what things? So, for example, if you're interfacing with Windows protocols, NTFS and CIFS, for example, those will be much, much slower in Linux than they are in Windows. Congrats on Linux. You know, Windows can play most modern apps, yeah. I was gonna say, gaming. Linux is faster in gaming in most cases nowadays as well. It didn't used to be that way 5 years ago. 80% of Windows games work in Linux. I know, I saw that Linus Tech Tips video too. And now it's faster. But yeah, I mean, here's what the DNS looks like. It's awesome. So as far as link aggregation goes, I like my Windows teaming. It works. I like 802.1180. It's nice. And yeah, on top of being able to failover, I can actually use my DualGig. So I've actually looked at this and I have proven it. I can transfer something file to the NAS at 113 megs per second, which is pretty much capping my gig network. Megabytes per second, not megabits. 113 megabytes per second. 113 to 116. Yeah, I mean, there's overhead, of course. You're not going to get a whole gig through a network, but 113 megabytes per second, 116 megabytes per second is pretty close to a gig. And I can transfer something to a NAS at that speed, and I can also download a file, like an ISO, for example, through torrent, at a gig per second, about 116, 120 megs per second. So again, accounting for overhead, I can have my dual gigabit speeds as long as they don't interfere with each other. So I have actually tested this, and I do get dual gig speeds to my PC. Fedora says, I don't understand. Can you mention what benchmarks I should look into where Linux is slower? Yes. You're looking at NTFS, so Linux access to NTFS. So that'll be your, drives. If a drive or something is formatted with NTFS, it's going to be slower in Linux than it is on Windows. And 2, you're looking at CIFS for Linux, which is Linux's integration with a Windows networking protocol for storage. So if you have my QNAP NAS, for example, mostly uses NTFS for sharing access, basically. So I have shared network drives on it, which allow me to access the NAS, the files on the NAS, from my computer using a Windows protocol. Now, Linux implements CIFS, which is its own implementation of that Windows networking protocol. Now, that's going to be a lot slower on Linux than it is on Windows. And again, I have used this for a very long time. I don't know why, but when I originally set up my Plex the first time, I used CIFS for access to all the movies that I grabbed from my NAS to transcode. And that is really goddamn slow. Really slow. Now I've actually switched. I've enabled on my QNAP, on my NAS, a Linux native protocol, and now I'm actually I'm using that on my Plex instead, and it is so much faster. So there are cases in which Linux is slower than Windows. However, they're pretty rare, and you have to be using, again, Windows-specific networking protocols, various other things in order for it to be slower. But generally, yes, Linux is faster. I agree. I don't know where 20% comes from, but at the very least, it is faster. Yay! Noah asks, have you ever tried Kotlin? I've looked at it, but no, not really. Dan says, yes, Caffeine. Hey, Dan, I wonder when he'd show up. Fedora says, I can't find the benchmark, but I will look into it. I would recommend just benchmarking it yourself, but take a look. Hey, off topic, have you heard of the game Satisfactory? I have, and I want it, but I don't have it. I want it, though. I really want it. I mean, I have been avoiding Factorio because I know it's going to take my entire life with it. But it's on Steam now. Oh my god. No! No! I've been avoiding Factorio because I know it's going to take my life. And Satisfactory is going to do exactly the same. It's just gonna... You're never going to see me ever again. That's what's going to happen. Fedora says the difference might be even greater now, to be honest. It might be, I don't know. I know that CIFS is very slow because... So, when I upgraded the Plex from 18 to 20, I did two things. One, I stopped using CIFS to access the NAS. And 2, Shit, what else did I do? I did something else that sped up the Plex. What did I do? I can't remember what I did. I did something related to networking. Oh, that's what I did. I did dual gigabit through the switch that was attached to that network. Because originally it was just single gigabit. It wasn't link aggregate. So I updated those two, and I went from... So originally I had issues with transcoding data. So we would watch movies, and those movies, we would put subtitles on those movies, and because of that, we would bake it in. The Plex would bake the subtitles into the movie, and thus it would have to retranscode the movie. And so what would happen is every like 5 minutes, we would have to pause it and wait 30 seconds and then continue. It would be a giant pain in the ass, and now there is no stuttering at all, or pausing or anything. There's no buffering, nothing. It's all perfectly fine. Let's see. Dan says, I didn't forget about the stream this time. Neither did I. We're in the same boat. Also, did you forget about Wednesday's stream? Yes, I did. I'm sorry. I woke up Thursday and I was like, oh fuck, I forgot to stream yesterday. You take off for a week and then suddenly you forget everything. So I'm sorry about that. Fedora was an NFS network file system. Yep, that is correct. So let me see what I have. Oops. What do I have in my FS tab? NFS is what I currently have, yes. So NFS does not, by the way, on Linux support usernames and passwords. So if you connect a Linux box to an NFS file system, you cannot use a username and password with it. If you want username and password access, you have to use CIFS instead, which is the Windows protocol. So yes, currently I'm mounting my multimedia from the NAS using NFS, which is a lot faster than CIFS. Yes, NFS is faster on Linux, by a very long shot, by the way. Like, a lot of the buffering that I had was due to the fact that I was using CIFS on my Linux to mount the, or on my Plex to mount the NAS. And that was a no-no, I learned very quickly. I say very quickly. I learned that slowly. You know what, let me get into your Discord and I'm writing a reminder bot. Yeah, that's probably a good idea, honestly. But a lot of people say, yeah, NFS is faster on Linux, and you don't get the impact of that. NFS is way fucking faster on Linux. Way faster. Don't use anything but NFS. That's how you present that. Speaking of NFS, I have a free NAS that I'm going to use as a data store for the ASXi server. Should I use NFS or iSCSI? NFS if you're going to be using Linux across the network. NFS. If you're going to be using Linux to access the drives, NFS is going to be faster. That's a native Linux protocol. All right, I'll do it. Just let me in your Patreon only server. It's not going to be a Patreon only server for very long. I just have to figure out how I want to do it. I will do it. I just need to figure out how I want to do it, because I need it. I need it to serve the purpose that it would serve, and there are many ways in which that can go wrong. So let me figure out how I want to do it, and then I will do it. I'm still working out details on that, and it probably will still change even after I figure it out, so we'll see. But yeah, if you're ever presented the choice between NFS and any other protocol, NFS if it's Linux. Sneaky plays, Danny boy. I know. Also, does Streamlabs have an API so I can grab the times? Yes, they do, and no, it doesn't present you times. I checked. This is actually something I've been looking at myself, Dan. Is like a reminder for when I stream. The best thing I can come up with is honestly just setting myself a reminder on my, or setting myself an alarm on my phone, since my times don't really change. There you go. I mean, they change, but I can easily change the times for my alarms too. You know, sometimes old school problems need old school techniques, and an alarm serves this function well enough. I was already once in there. I was like the only one on Patreon, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately nobody likes to do Patreon. It's kind of overused. That's too easy, I want to do it. Trust me. It's fine. It'll be okay. You can if you want to, but it's like you have to be like tokens and shit, and also it doesn't work anyway because Streamlabs doesn't have the time. Or it doesn't have an API for the time. I don't know why. Very strange, but it doesn't. So, yeah, with NFS, this is something that I learned the hard way. Like I said, I used CIFS originally because I was like, whatever, I need access and it probably doesn't matter. No, it matters. It matters a lot. Like, again, if you're ever thinking like CIFS versus iSCSI versus NFS versus whatever, do NFS. NFS is way, way, way faster. Like many times faster than any of the other protocols on Linux. It is insane how much faster it is. I didn't realize this when I first set it up. And it's way understated. Like whenever you see like people talking about NFS versus whatever, they'll say, oh yeah, just use NFS, it's fine. No, it's way understated how much faster NFS is. Use NFS always. Always. Dance is firing up Node.js. That's fine. Who doesn't like Node? For Linux Serb, I'm talking using it as storage for VMware. If you're running VMware on Linux, use NFS. Simple as that. If it's on like another, I assume it's on another. It's across the network, right? You're using NFS because it's across the network, not because it's on the same box. Yeah, ESXi, like, are you putting the ESXi on the same box, or is your storage on another place using a separate FreeNAS? Yeah, okay. So in that case, NFS all the way. If it's Linux, ESXi is Linux. If it's Linux, NFS. I don't care what other protocol there is. NFS is many times faster than any of the other protocols available in Linux. Like I said, it's I don't know why, but it is way understated how much faster NFS is. Like I'll see people recommending it, and it's just kind of this, use whatever you want, but NFS is faster kind of thing. Like, really, use NFS. It is way goddamn faster. Unfortunately, people will use other protocols because they offer different benefits. So unfortunately, NFS has the drawback of not having as many features as other protocols. So, for example, a username and password. You cannot use NFS with a username and password. It just doesn't support it. So if you use NFS, you have to either firewall it off or figure out another way for access control. iSCSI supports various things that NFS doesn't. So if you absolutely need the features that iSCSI and the Windows networks and things need, or you have, then you'll have to use them, unfortunately. But if you can afford to not have usernames and passwords, or you can afford to not have, there's another thing that iSCSI has specifically regarding the way drives are accessed, like a smart reading smart values and things, I think. If you need features like that, then you'll have to use it. However, if you don't, then NFS is the way to go for sure. Like always. Like if all you need is to be able to read and write to a drive on a remote location, then do NFS. And figure out other ways for access control, like firewalling. But yeah, for whatever reason you need like a username and password, or if you need to read smart values or something like that, then you're gonna have to use one of the other protocols. Sadly. It's for the grid. iSCSI might be the way to go with the security features. Yeah, sadly. I mean, iSCSI isn't that much slower than NFS, but the Windows protocol, the CIFS, is way slower. So at the very least, try not to use CIFS. But iSCSI is still pretty far behind NFS, sadly. I think NFS is faster mostly because it gets rid of those features. It doesn't have to do handshakes or anything like that. There's no encryption, there's no usernames, passwords, there's no smart headers, there's nothing. It's just like, here's your data, boom, 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 boom. So, I don't know. It depends. It depends on what you need, I guess. But, like, if you can really try to go for NFS. Otherwise, sure, I guess use the others. And really try not to use CIFS. That's my recommendation. After having actually used these network features myself, I can comfortably say NFS is definitely the way to go if you can afford to. Although, if you have like a NAS that supports it, if you use NFS, you can limit on the NAS itself whether or not people who use the NFS protocol have read, write, or neither access. So there you go. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like my QNAP, for example, allows me to say anybody who's connecting using NFS only has read access, which makes sense. Hey, it's a Phase Rich John. How's it going? Long time no see. Dan says, what do you think about QT or QML? I haven't tried them, actually. Sorry. What do you mean by QT or QML, actually? Because when you say QT, the first thing I think of is UI. Is that what you're talking about? UI? And QML being like the markup language, I guess, for creating UI, like whatever that. If you're creating apps in C# or Java, for example, you have this like markup language, usually XML based, that allows you to move. Okay, cool. Yeah. QML is a giant pain in the ass to use or to modify. Yeah, QML is a giant pain in the ass to use, but Qt is fine as far as visual. I really should have muted that. I apologize. I don't know why I didn't. Yeah, Qt looks fine enough. It's a bit dated, but it works. QML is a pain, but it works. I guess my opinion is it's painful, but it works. Good, just updating my profile picture. I saw that, yeah. It looks interesting. I don't know what it is. Looks like a tuxedo? That sounded good. Okay. Yeah. Great. I usually mute these things. Usually. I try to anyway. I've been off the streaming horse for too long, clearly. I've only been off it for like a week. And clearly I've already been off it too long. I'm forgetting myself all over the place. I'm not muting when I should. I don't know how the hell this even happened. It's the king of pop. Ah, okay, I see. MJ? MJ is still the king of pop, isn't he? I think he is. Yeah, I've been thinking about this NFS thing. Yeah, I guess the reason that people say, hey, use whatever works, or use NFS if you can, is that there are a fair number of situations in which you actually have to have user authentication, or you have to read smart values, or whatever else. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. if you can, really try to use NFS. It's so much faster. If you can join me in some Satisfactory if you need some easy streaming, that'd be nice. It would be interesting to try and stream it. Alex, don't be so lazy. Thanks, I appreciate it. It's a beautiful bot. Yeah, as soon as I actually get Satisfactory, I'll keep that in mind. Yes, it's Michael Jackson. I made 2 clubs dedicated to him on Xbox. Holy crap, 2 clubs? What happened to the first one? Why 2? I have to wonder. Also, you can make clubs on Xbox? That's a thing? How does that even work? I've never... Okay. The last time I used an Xbox was the Xbox One. Xbox One? No, hang on. No. Sorry, the last time I used an Xbox was the original Xbox.
Xbox. I don't game.
Say Xbox One because the first Xbox, the original.
You do have a 360 sitting in the living room collecting dust.
We do, but the problem is we have nowhere to put it at the moment. We need to clean up the living room and get a new TV in there, and then we can actually, use it.
Honestly, I figure we might as well just get Xbox One.
Yeah, sure, we could do that too. But
maybe
I mean, like,
a PS5.
But I mean, like, yeah, I would like to clean up that living room and get a station set up to have an Xbox One, PS5, and more importantly, the most important thing is a nice computer for VR, specifically for VR, because the living room's pretty big.
I was thinking when we move out, we can have a dedicated to this VR.
I would love that. Be awesome, if possible.
Hi, Daniel.
Hey, Daniel says hi. One is for Forza Horizon 4, the other is for just a general chat club. I'm so confused.
What are you talking about?
So apparently he made 2 clubs on Xbox dedicated to Michael Jackson, but one is for Forza Horizon 4? That's oddly specific. Like a club dedicated to Michael Jackson also for people who are on Forza Horizon 4. That's very specific. Can you show her my awesome bot? Yes. Dan is making a bot that reminds me when it's time to stream. It's called Alex, Don't Be So Lazy.
Yes, I love it. He needs
Jesus. That. I don't.
You do?
What I need is to set a reminder on my damn phone. Just set an alarm.
And why haven't you done that yet?
Oh, just because I've been lazy.
No, because we even had to double check the time, because he said it was 11 o'clock. I said I thought it was 11:30, and we had to check the time on his website to figure out what time he streamed.
11:30. I know my times. I had to move it twice. Originally it was at 10, and then it was 11, then it was 11:30.
What do you think? What do you think my job is?
It's reminders to set reminders.
I'm the reminder to tell him to set the reminder.
Basically, yes.
And then when he doesn't do it, I do it.
Pretty much, yeah. Which basically means that she does it. Let's be honest. Let's also make a bot to remind Egg to set reminders.
No, you know what? Make a bot to remind me to remind him to set the reminder. There you go.
We must go deeper.
And then we'll make a bot to remind you to remind me to remind you to set the timer.
We must go deeper.
No, we'll let me see. We'll make the bot to remind the other bot to remind me to remind you to set the timer. There we go.
Yes. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What can go wrong?
Perfect. I don't know how we're going to program the bot. We have to remember to actually program the bot to do those reminders.
Make a bot to set a reminder to program the bot to remind me to remind you to set the reminder.
Right. Yep. Write it down. I already forgot what it was.
We'll make a bot.
Right.
To remind the bot to remind me. We'll make a bot to remind the bot to remind me to remind you to set the timer.
Maybe the bot should stream. Actually, you know what? That's perfect. We'll just make a bot stream. It's fine. It's perfect.
Yeah, just make the bot to stream. That way you don't have to worry about it.
Perfect. I won't even be here. We'll just have a bot talking the entire time. Not to do with that, I'm glad I know how to write this reminder bot. Again, I could just set an alarm on my phone to go off every day, or every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday.
I thought it was Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
No, it's Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, yes. Because today is Saturday.
Sure?
Yes, today is Saturday.
Are you positive?
Yes.
How sure are you?
Very, because today is Saturday and I'm streaming right now.
Are you sure you're not streaming on a Friday?
Yes, because today is Saturday. Don't try and fuck with me.
Sometimes it's easy to fuck with you. It's only easy to fuck with you when you're sleep deprived and you don't have coffee.
Yeah.
Like, one time I actually convinced you on a Sunday that it was Monday and we had to get going because I was late for class. And I was mean and I woke you up at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, why?
Because it's fun to mess with you. Why not?
Also, I'm probably gonna steal like half of it from GitHub. That's kind of how that works from GitHub and Stack Overflow, right? Like, you need to steal half of it from Stack Overflow and the other half comes from GitHub. That's how I write all of my programs. Speaking of, actually, I still need to finish up my Linux hardening scripts. They're pretty close to done, but I need to finish them. I mean, you could just genuinely run them right now, and they would pretty much mostly work, at least on an Ubuntu box or Debian-based box. And it would mostly work on a CentOS or Fedora machine or a Red Hat machine. And then they would not work at all, probably, on a Arch Linux machine. Because why? Why? Actually, to be fair, one of the boxes that we had during the competition was a something. It was our database server, and it was a FreeBSD? OpenBSD? It was OpenBSD. Yeah, our database server was an OpenBSD, and I used a zipper. My friend just said he's good. It's not about why, it's about why not, exactly. Apparently it's filled up his Gmail. I'm getting pretty close. Yeah, myself. Getting pretty close. I guess it's about why not. I don't expect it to be used though. Just saying, like, I don't feel like it's gonna actually be used. Let's be honest. But hey, I remember what I'm using as a database, right? I don't remember what you use it. What are you using as a database? I'm scared now. Is it just a file? Is it a giant file? Not even compressed. It's a custom binary file format. That way you can't even open it and look at it. Not compressed. Is that what it is? Is it a live boot Ubuntu stick? Perfect. What could possibly go wrong? Google Spreadsheets, that's right, yes. That's actually a halfway decent database, to be fair. Like, it could be worse. As we have both clearly pointed out. It's Spreadsheets on Cloud. It could be worse. Like, it's not great, but it could be worse. I would recommend if you're looking for a database that's really easy to program, go with Elasticsearch. Like, Elasticsearch is really goddamn easy. The reason it's really goddamn easy is because it both ingests and egress, whatever, JSON. You create databases by inputting JSON, and you get data by inputting JSON, and it returns JSON. It's beautiful. It's just ready to integrate into pretty much any programming language that you want. And Twitch just froze for me, great. No. I'm sorry. Didn't freeze on my end. I have 0 dropped frames. Hey! And running at only 6.8% CPU. Beautiful. So that would be on Twitch's end, I think. So I don't know what this track is, but it's weird. I'm gonna skip it. Sorry. Now this is the chill I've been looking for. So I think, yeah, the plan is to today go ahead and grab. Yeah, I'm gonna go and grab the new box, and so I will actually. I think I'm gonna live stream setting that box up. I think. The thing is, I have to double check this. At least I'm gonna live stream installing Ubuntu on it, I think. I may not live stream actually putting it together. I'll figure it out. But one of the things I wanted to check is I have with me here, let me see. Draw.io. Draw.io is beautiful and fantastic, and I love it. Open existing diagram. The network. Oops, that's the wrong. Nope. File open from Google Drive. Network. Oh, there it is. Network. All right. Ah, yes, I do. Excellent. Yes, I do. So let me show you here what I have. So here's what I'm looking at. He says. There it is. All right, so here's what I'm looking at. This isn't it. Hang on, this is the wrong network diagram. Nope, hang on. I will find it. This is an old network diagram. HomeNet is what it is. There it is. Hey, I even got all the Cisco things installed, or icons used. Okay, so here's what my network actually looks like, and these are these little 5 inches, 25 feet. These are the cable lengths that I think I'll need. They aren't the cable lengths that I currently have. This is for the project that I have coming up, and this project is to shorten the runs from box to box in my poor little network cabinet, because currently there's just a mess of wires everywhere. It's a disaster. So this is for a future project, but this is what the network actually looks like. And so what I'm looking at is I have central net here, and ports 1 and 2 are uplink. So this is ports 4 and 5 to the internal network. And these are all switches. So I have central net, which has 2 ports, ports 1 and 2, link aggregated up to internal net. So that's a dual NIC basically, or dual port link aggregate. Link aggregate is what it is. 802.11ad. So ports 1 and 2 are used. Port 3 goes to the old DNS, which I can remove. Port 4 is unused, port 5 goes to the home lab, and ports 6 and 7 both go to the NAS. So I have plenty of room to put in a new box, basically. And so the home lab can instead be a backup DNS or an alternate DNS. So I can, instead of having one DNS that potentially goes down if I need to restart it or whatever, I have two. And so the home lab will become an Ubuntu 20.04 with Plex and DNS on it, and also Grafana. Maybe? Maybe not. No, just Plex and DNS. And so the current NUC will only have Grafana and DNS and Elasticsearch. So that is the hope, is that I can just plug the new box in, give it dual NIC, give it link aggregate basically, later, because I don't have a dual NIC on me at all. I don't. I was thinking about it, no I don't. Sadly I don't have anything. Yeah, the only dual NIC I had I gave to the lab. So I'll have to get something else. And I can set it up, and it can be my Plex. So then I can upgrade that in the future to have a better CPU, have a better GPU, it'll be great. And then it'll also be a secondary or primary DNS, I'm not sure which yet. Maybe the home lab will be a primary DNS. Oh great, now it wants to open package.json in After Effects. That's weird. Why? Why do you have yours is set up weirdly? So that's the plan, I think, is to take these cables from CentralNet. Yeah, take these open ports from CentralNet. Because I have port 4 is open, 6, 7, I have port 8 open as well. There's 8 ports on each. So I have port 1 and 2 being used. Port 3 is used but can be removed. Port 4 is unused. Port 5 is used, 6 and 7 is used, and 8 is unused. And says, I don't know. Why? That's so strange. Also, Lightshot is, I don't recommend Lightshot anymore. I recommend ShareX instead. Take a look at that, it's fantastic. You have to do a little bit of configuring, but it's totally worth it. Because you can do like video and shit too. Yeah, so I'm thinking, yeah, dual link on ports 3 and 4, replacing the old DNS entirely. And doing dual link on ports 3 and 4 for the new box that's coming in. As soon as I get a new NIC that has dual, because I'll have to do that. Fuck. And one of the things I wanted to do as well was upgrade the NAS. So this will be in the fall. I think I'm gonna have to do some part shopping, replace some parts and things. In the fall, I want to upgrade the NAS because currently it has 2 gigs of RAM. No, currently the NAS has 1 gig of RAM, 1 gigabyte of RAM that's usable by the system, because the other gig is used for something, I'm not sure what. Maybe the RAID array, I don't know why it's used. But currently I only have 1 gig of usable RAM, 2 gigs total. And it's a giant pain in the ass to do anything on the NAS because of that. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the NAS, the QNAP, and I'm going to insert a 16 gig stick into it. Because fuck you and your goddamn 1 gig of RAM. Fucking QNAP. I did not think it would be this bad, but it is. So I'm going to insert a 16 gig stick of RAM into it. And I'm also going to take one of the PCIe slots that it has and insert a dual M.2 bay into it. And I'm going to have 2 500 gig sticks of, or even 1 terabyte sticks of Samsung Evo 970, and that will be my SSD cache, read and write. And I will remove my SSD cache that I currently have, and when taking up one of the slots, and I will insert instead another 6 terabytes of storage. So that'll be my NAS upgrade. That'll be fantastic. It'll be lovely. And then I will upgrade, at that same time, I will upgrade the Plex box to have a better motherboard, more RAM, better CPU, and a better GPU. So basically replacing most of the internals of the box, and also dual NIC. And then finally, I will buy all of the cables that I need. And you know what, honestly, I'm probably just gonna buy a giant roll of Cat 7, and I'm just gonna make my own cables. And I'm going to update or upgrade the network as well to not only have Cat 7, which has much better shielding, but also you know, be the perfect size for each of the cable runs. That's the idea. So there will be lots of upgrades coming this fall. It'll be probably, when does the fall semester start? Because I don't actually have a lot of, surprisingly enough, I'm not taking that many classes this next semester, so I have a lot of time to do some things. One of those things being upgrades. And so, I will be streaming a lot of that, actually. There we go. I'll be streaming a lot of that, the upgrade process. I'll be streaming, obviously I can't stream all of the replacing the cable runs in the network because it takes the network down to do that. But I'll be streaming the upgrading the Plex, I'll be streaming the upgrading the NAS and a bunch of other things. So it'll be fantastic. So the fall semester starts around, let me double check here. Do you really need Cat 7? The only advantage between it and Cat 6 6E is distance. Actually, another advantage of Cat 7 is the shielding. Cat 7 has much better shielding, and Cat 6 probably works fine. That said, Cat 7, when bought in bulk, isn't actually that much more expensive. So I might as well get Cat 7 for the better shielding. There's no particular reason to use Cat 7 over Cat 6, however, when you buy it in bulk, it's about the same price, and why not? Ben Gaming says hello. Hello, Ben Gaming. Let's see. Fall semester starts 8. So in about a month and a half, 2 months. So we're looking at about a month and a half, 2 months before I actually get the money to do these upgrades. And then I'll actually have a job. Because right now I'm broke. I'm so broke. And that's a lot of settings and checks. There is a lot of settings. Thankfully, you set it up once and you never have to touch the settings again, but you know, you can choose kind of what, you have a lot of settings to play with. You can choose what you want to do. Oh, hi. What's up? Dan says it's a few more settings than Light Shot. Yes, a few. That is correct. Ben says, will you play a song called Ring of Fire by Johnny Cash? No. 1, it's copyright, and 2, it's a good song, but no. It doesn't fit the channel. Hey, thank you so much for the follow, Dottie Your Cloth 973. Dottie Your Cloth? I hope I pronounced that right. I apologize if I did not. Sorry. So yes, the reason for Cat 7 is because it's not that much more expensive than Cat 6 when bought in bulk, and kind of just why not? It's better shielding. Yeah, it's more than I need, but sure, why not, right? Fuck it. Plus, actually two of the runs, three? No. 1, 2, 3 of the runs that go from the network go to, one goes inside the wall, and then 3 more go around the back of, they go around the back of this room. And in doing so, they pass by quite a few power cables, including 4 of my own that, power things and suck up a lot of juice. So a lot of amperage goes through those power lines, and a lot of voltage goes through those power lines, and I'm passing, 3 Ethernet cables right next to it for a fairly long length of run. So I want really good shielding on those. Donnie says, yeah, you did a random gender name. Oh, cool. Okay, I did not know that. Oh, yeah, remember, Mixer randomly generates names for you if you don't want to make your own. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I just always use Egedy2 everywhere, so hey, whatever. To each their own. I'm glad that you could join us, though. Let's see, what is that length of run that it goes through? So for about a foot, yeah, there's about a foot in which these Cat5e cables, currently Cat5e, run right next to my PC's power cable, side by side for about a foot, and my PC's power cable pulls 120 volts and too many watts, several hundred watts. And then there's another foot in which there's another 5 or 6 feet in which these cables run by 3 more power cables that go to my monitors, and those pull 120 volts each at I'd say 15-20 watts. Dan says it uploads to Imager. Yes. It uploads to Imager or whatever other service that you want, actually. You can upload to any service. A lot of people choose custom URLs. I've seen a lot of Imager-like services that people have used with ShareX, which are just custom weird URLs like various porn-related ones as well. It's mostly various porn-related ones, because of course it is. Because people want to be special. But yeah, you can upload to whatever URL you want. Imager is just the most common. You can also upload to Google Drive and shit too, or Google Photos and Google Drive and Dropbox and other things. It's nice. You should not have told me this. Dan, why? No, please, Dan. Those URLs are how you get banned from Discord servers, by the way. Just FYI on that. I would recommend sticking with an Imager if you want to remain looking somewhat professional. Just be careful. So, yeah, as for the cables, Cat7, because it runs... nice. Because it runs next to some wires, and fuck it, why not? That's it. That's the main reason. Fuck it, why not? And I will be buying a giant roll of it because fuck it, why not? I might as well make my own, right? It's been a while since I baked cables, and I screwed up the last couple that I made, so I want to redeem myself. It even generates QR codes. Yes, it does. ShareX is awesome. It really is cool. I love it a lot. There's even a Linux alternative called ShareNix. It doesn't have the same feature set, but it has the basics. And it works the same. It's like a Swiss Army knife. It really is. There are so many things you can do with ShareX. I'm glad I got you started into it. I'm sure I will see some Imager links from you soon. And it really is beautiful. It binds to your print screen key just like anything else. It's awesome. But that said, I do actually have to go and pick up the PC if I actually want it, right? So I'm gonna go do that. And I somewhat made it in time. I'm gonna go pick up my PC and the new server, I guess. And I have to go find a item for our blow-up air mattress because we're gonna be staying the night at my mother's house tonight. Because it'll be awesome. I haven't seen her in so long. I want to go see her and say hello and give her a hug, tell her I love her, and spend the night and make food at her place. It'll be awesome. Alright, so I'm gonna head off. I will see you guys on Monday's stream because I will actually remember to stream on Monday. I will, I promise. I will be streaming on Monday unless something absolutely catastrophic happens. So, I will see you guys on Monday. Please remember to check out the YouTube link. Also in the description, if you're watching on YouTube, there is in the description box, there's links. Check out my YouTube. I post videos on there sometimes because it's awesome. Check out Twitch if you're not already looking at Twitch to stream because Twitch gives me awesome metrics and other fun stuff. And finally, Instagram is where I post pictures, videos, other things, just kind of random behind the scenes stuff, and just occasionally I'll find giant Wheaties and post pictures of them going, what the fuck is going on? Or, you know, pictures of me breaking my phone. It's fun. You should join the Instagram. It's really cool. Yeah. All right. I will enjoy Dan's desktop. It looks beautiful. Very lovely. And I will see you guys on Monday, unless again something catastrophic happens. But seriously, I need to remember to stream. I will see you on Monday. Enjoy. Don't have too much fun. Goodbye. Bye. Let's see if I got this one right. I did. Yay. All right. Bye.